Hey, welcome back from break. We're going to start out this this week by going through and graphing quadratics by factoring. We had talked about this briefly before we went on to break, so we'll go back into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for a 5-point process when we're graphing quadratics. So the first thing we're going to do is, if we can factor, and this is all we're going to do, we're going to graph by factoring first. We're going to factor and find the x-intercepts. Then we're going to go through and use those x-intercepts to find out the axis of symmetry. And the one thing you want to look for is we want to find the average of those x-intercepts. So we're going to add them together and divide by 2. Third point is going to be the vertex, or the third part. We're going to combine 2 and 3 together. So whatever we got for that average of the x-intercepts, we're going to take that number, we're going to plug it in to find out the y value. The x from part 2 and the y from number 3 are going to combine to be our vertex. And then the fourth point is going to come from the y-intercept. So we're going to take whatever equation they give us, we're going to plug in a 0 in for x, and we're going to solve for y. And whatever that is will become our y-intercept. And then we're going to use a property of symmetry, and what it means to be symmetrical is all the points are the same distance away on both sides. So then we're going to take the idea of symmetry and reflect the point across that axis of symmetry. Alright, so we're going to graph y equals the quantity x plus 2 times x minus 4, and we're going to find the first part, finding the x-intercepts. Since it's already factored, we're going to take each x-intercept and set it equal to 0, so we got x plus 2 and x minus 4, and we're going to set them equal to 0. And we're going to solve. X equals negative 2 and x equals positive 4. Part 2 says find the axis of symmetry, or take the average of those zeros. So we're going to take the average of 4 and negative 2, so we're going to add them together and divide by 2, and then 4 plus negative 2 divided by 2 gives you 1, so our axis of symmetry is going to be x equals 1. Alright, the next part says take what we just got for number 3, for number 2, take that 1 and plug it in for x and solve for y. So we have y equals 1 plus 2 and then 1 minus 4, and we get 3 times negative 3, which equals negative 9. So our vertex is the point 1 comma negative 9. Right. Part 4 says find the y-intercept. In order to find the y-intercept, the x value is 0, so we're going to take and plug a 0 in for x, and since there's two x's, we're going to plug them into both. 0 plus 2 is 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. So one of the y-intercepts is 0, negative 8, and then we'll do part 5 on the graph. Alright, so far what I did is I took negative 2 and 4, plotted negative 2 and positive 4 on the x-axis, because those are the x-intercepts. We went to number 2, we found out our axis of symmetry was x equals 1, so I drew a dashed line here at 1. You don't need to do that, but it's going to help you to reflect part 4 to find the fifth point. Went and plotted 1, negative 9, so I went down, plotted 1, negative 9, plotted that point. And now 0, negative 8 is going to be this point, so we go to 0 down here at negative 8. And we're going to use for number 5, our fifth point, we're going to use that idea of symmetry. We're going to see that it's 1 unit away from the axis of symmetry, so we're going to go 1 unit away on the other side. Plot that point, and then you are going to do your best to draw the parabola out. Now, is it always going to be nice and pretty? Not really, but do your best. Alright, so now we're going to take one that's not factored and do the same premise, except for we have to do that extra step of factoring. So going back to our concepts of factoring, we have a trinomial with no term out in front of x squared, so we're looking for factors of 5 that add up to 6. Those numbers are going to be 5 and 1. So we have the factor x plus 5 equals 0, x plus 1 equals 0. Our x-intercepts are negative 5 and negative 1, and we can go ahead and plot those on our graph right away. Right? Part 2 says find the axis of symmetry. So we're going to take the zeros and we're going to find the average. So negative 5 plus negative 1 is negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. X equals negative 3 is our axis of symmetry, which would be this line right here that cuts it right down the middle. Part 3 says go through and find out the vertex. So we're going to take negative 3, plug it in. So we have negative 3 plus 5 and negative 3 plus 1. And do the math, we get 2 times negative 2, which is negative 4. So our vertex is the point negative 3, comma, negative 4, which is going to be down 1, 2, 3, 4 from the middle. Part 4 says find the y-intercept. So we're going to take 0 and plug it in for x. So we have 0 plus 5 and 0 plus 1. 5 times 1 is 5, so our y-intercept is the point y equals 5, which is right up here. And then to do part 5, we're going to use the idea of symmetry. We are 1, 2, 3 points away up here at the y-intercept. 1, 2, 3 points away, so we're going to go over 1, 2, 3 points and plot the same point, and then we are going to draw our parabola to the best of our ability.